Okay, so yuck for low back pain, but here's a few things as long as a doctor doesn't say not to do stuff like this and maybe just to give it a full rest, but these are just some common back pain relieving practices. So however you can comfortably get down to the floor, you'll start getting down and you're going to come down to your hands and knees. It is nice to have the body heated up first, but we can do that even just on the hands and knees. So a nice solid base by bringing the hands directly into the shoulders. The hips are going to be directly over the knees, so if you kind of see that it's not really in there, just see where you can find that nice solid alignment. Hands are, the fingers are spread apart and we're pressing away, and the belly button pulls in just slightly, so we're not really holding the abs, pulling the belly button in to support the low back and the whole core in general. So just as we've seen, right, a cat-cow is a good one. So just first though, seeing if you can minimize that action just in the low back. So let the belly drop a little bit, tailbone lift, and not too much if the back hurts. So if it's hurting as you do it, you don't do it. Tailbone tucks. So instead of doing like a full cat-cow, if that's what you really want to do and it feels okay, you can. So the tailbone lifts and the spine rounds and the chin lifts. And then you tuck the tailbone and you kind of roll through the tailbone. But we do a lot of rounding all day long, and I suspect that's where a lot of back pain actually comes from, because we're rounding all day long anyway. So our back is overstretched as it is. So it's nice actually to keep the action, like say I take a bowl and put it on my upper back, it should be able to stay. If we just find that action, if we isolate it just to the low back. So pull the belly button in, lift the tailbone. Belly button in, lift the tailbone. Even if it's just like a pelvic action. So sometimes dropping can hurt. Because right now, my back's a little tight, so I can feel it in my low back. So tuck and release, and tuck and release. Maybe the belly drops a little. Or that full cat-cow action. And also another option here is we're really looking to kind of take the pressure off each vertebrae. So by finding a spinal balance, so extend one leg out as long as it feels comfortable, but keep the foot down at first. Again, belly button in, and opposite hand reaches out. So my chair is in the way, sorry. But really reaching the fingertips one way and the heel the other way, and not letting the belly droop here. So pull that belly button in, feel the pelvis tuck under a little, and really elongate. Holding, release, and then just switching sides. So find the foot first. So we really press away through the hands, extend the leg, and then maybe the other hand. Press away. So again, if we're sinking, press away. Belly button is tight and not pushing through if it hurts, but we're really looking to spread the vertebrae and take the pressure off. Slowly release. Maybe if you're feeling up for it, we can reach out. My couch is in the way. But again, we're really reaching the hand and foot in opposite directions. Try not to let the belly drop. So lengthening or completely taking this one out if it doesn't feel good. All right. So as many as you like, however it feels good. It's going to be exhausting actually, because it's a lot of pressure in the arms and we don't realize how hard that is. Next one will be on our bellies. So taking care, pull the core in tight and just come all the way down, all the way to the belly. So at that point, listen to the body. So release the top of the feet, and then the hands are right under the shoulders, and we're basically just gonna pull ourselves forward, but everything is released. So we're really just using here, pressing the hands into the floor, pulling the shoulders away from the ears so the neck is long, and then pull forward to feel, again, taking the pressure off the spine. So my hands are sliding back, but really we should be pressing down. Release a little bit, We start to get a little tight. So I could feel myself starting to get tight down here, so I'm gonna release a little, relax it, come down, because it does get tiring. And then again, lift up a little and pull. So really, we're not pressing into the hands here. We're lifting because we're pulling forward. Crown of the head is reaching forward and not up. Release. Okay. And then we're gonna do a different stretch here. So coming up if you can, however you need to. So if it hurts, maybe I like to walk the knees in a little bit. Pull the belly button in, press up. Taking your time, walk the knees in. So child's pose is wonderful to elongate the spine, but the knees are gonna come like mat distance. So I don't know if you're on a mat or not, but they're wider and the toes are together. And then sit back, hips don't have to touch the heels, they're just working towards it. Sometimes it even feels nice to have something under the hips, because if we are sitting up high, it's hard, so a little support. But the reason that we want the knees wider is so that we are not rounding of the spine. We're elongating it by straightening it out, so the knees are wide, so we can straighten our spine between the legs versus having to round over them. So knees wide, toes together, walking hands up. Okay, hips are down towards the heels. Maybe they're touching the heels, maybe they're higher. But we're reaching the hands out, trying to keep the forearms off the floor, and pulling the shoulders away from the ears so that our neck is long. So again, same action here where we're really working to spread each vertebrae apart a little more, take the pressure off the nerves. Right? I'm not hanging out here. It's an active pose, so we're really pulling still, kind of on the hands, pulling the shoulders away from the ears. And if that feels good, if we want, we can slowly walk out to the side just a little, only if we're not feeling pain or discomfort. And then walk the hands a little farther. And we definitely don't even have to do this part. Back to center. And the other side. So just walking out a little. But again, walk the hands to lengthen the spine. Not pushing through if there's any pain or discomfort. Just right back to center if we feel pain or discomfort. Child's pose. And then come back. Pull the knees in, taking our time, fixing our shorts, and then coming back down to the belly if we can. As long as we don't feel pain or discomfort. I'll say that a lot, so you can come down a little bit at a time. And so it's the same kind of action, release the lower half of the body, and we're propping ourselves up. This is Sphinx, and it is kind of dumping the low back here, so we really want to kind of scoop the hips under a little bit, pull the belly button in, but let the legs and the butt and stuff relax. And same thing, so hands are down, forearms down, and we're pulling, like we're trying to bring our elbows back towards our hips. We're not looking up. So we're kind of keeping our head down, and then our neck is not short, it's long, and pull. This is just kind of some spine lengthening practices. And never pressing through with pain, because everybody is different. So every back injury is different. Just being really careful with twists. And then continue pulling. If you need to take a break, you can come down for a second. Maybe wiggle the hips a little. And when you're ready, we can come back up. But again, trying not to sink in the shoulders, so nice long spine. Pull the belly button in and feel the hip tuck under a little bit. So like the tailbone is almost trying to pull under a little bit, or like tuck in and pull. Okay. This is turning into be a long video. I'm gonna probably have to turn it into YouTube. Okay, so when we're ready, come down, and then coming up however we need. So it's sometimes nice again to walk the knees in, but really having to loosen the body to press back up. Come in. And then we're going to come into a low lunge. So we're going to find ourselves, we'll, trying to think the best way. I don't know if I want to bring us into a down dog. So option is to go into a down dog and then bring it up, or slowly walk back, being near something that's supportive. I'm not really near something, so maybe by a chair or a couch, and then just kind of bringing it forward. Same thing, tailbone tucks under a little bit to make the spine long, and then starting to sit forward. Because tight hips is all connected to the back. So if our hips are tight, it can lead to knee problems and back problems. So opening the hips is a big helper here as well. But making sure we're doing it safely is really important. So sit down. Again, so watch my hips. If I untuck, that's dumping into my low back, which is where the problem's coming from. So we start high, tuck the tailbone, pull that belly button in, and just let the hips sink. So note how, it's hard to see on the side, my hip on this outside is at least a little bit in front of my knee. So we don't want it stacked right under, because you want to feel the stretch in that front hip here. But supporting ourselves, I'm on a yoga wheel, on something, and sitting forward, tuck, sit, and then lift the crown of the head tall. Finding a long spine, stretching that front hip flexor. When you've had enough, come back and then we'll switch sides. Placing a pillow under the knee, because that hurts sometimes, is absolutely an option. It kind of gets a little wobbly and hard to balance on, so just make sure to take care of yourself. So here's a perfect example. So we're finding the front knee stacks over the heel, grabbing something to support ourselves on, and then start to tuck the pelvis first, pull the belly button tight in, and lift tall through the crown of the head, and that's when we sit down low a little bit, making sure that the hip is at least a little bit in front of the knee and not stacked right over, but also checking that this knee doesn't come way over the toes and then cause pressure there. So long spine, pelvis tucked, belly button in, crown of the head tall, and then sit a little lower. Maybe our lower is over the knee. We're just aiming to go towards in front of the knee, as long as there's no pain. Okay. So when we've had enough of that, we come out and then help ourselves up to standing position. So we'll find, oh man, I'm not sure if it's gonna cut me off the camera because it's kind of high. So well, I'm gonna have us do kind of a standing down dog. So again, any support system, so the chair is gonna be good. We'll just adjust where we want ourselves to be. But the spine is lengthening, so we can be higher, we can be kind of lower. But what we're looking to do is reach, pressing through the hands and reach the tailbone the opposite direction. Again, not too close, so we'll just bring it in, or bring the feet out and adjust. Same thing, pull the belly button in. Now see, as we're here, if we can reach the crown of the head that way and the tailbone that way. So this is also a hamstring lengthener, so the knees can bend, because that's intense. I did a workout not too long ago, so my muscles and my ligaments and tendons and everything are all warm still. So remember to bend the knees as needed. Okay. When you've had enough of that, walk in. Maybe walk up. So stay, can do that again, or we can find a chair. A chair cat-cow. So the hips are sitting back, belly button's in. I know I say it a lot, hips are not popped out, they're tucked in. Reach the crown of the head up and the tailbone down, or just in those opposite directions. Shoulders away from the ears. And then the weight's towards the back of the foot, so we could lift and wiggle our toes the whole time. But the belly button is engaging to protect the low back. Our shoulder blades are towards each other to, again, not find more rounding in the spine. We want a long one. We can do the same cat-cow thing. So we can do just the low back with the hips. Keep the belly button engaged. And the reason I say that so much is because I catch myself very often. Can I please do this? Children, see? Very distracting. The reason I keep saying pull the belly button is because I catch myself letting it go. So it's very common for us to forget. We can even reach out for a chair, lift the toes, sit the hips back, and reach, reach, reach. Feeling each rib cage separate, which is going to help. So I'm kind of in a funky chair, so typically we want to be sitting higher. But since I want to feel that stretch, kind of reaching back. When we're ready, come up. Chair is our friend. Man, I hope we can see. So a nice reliever also is we're going to step one foot over, supporting ourselves in on a chair, but we're flexing that foot. The leg is straight, the back leg is straight. We're bending and we're really putting our weight in that front foot and in our hand, and we're leaning the hip to open up the hips a little bit. Only if we don't feel pain, but that might help relieve some of the pressure.
Your head cut out.
It's okay if my head's cut out, thank you. Because we're really looking for the lower half. And we should feel a big opening. We can even do a little forward and back as long as we're supporting ourselves by engaging the abdominals, switching sides. So other things, so same thing. So now we cross the opposite over, and then the weight's really in that front bent leg, but we're straightening out, so it's not all in there. So we want to obviously have it in the back foot, flex the foot, reach the crown of the head tall, and then start to lean into the supporting hand to feel the weight. I'm sorry, feel a stretch in that opposite hip. Maybe if we do a little motion. And then come back up. All right. We're going to come to the floor. So slowly come down however we can. But we're going to sit on our backs this time. So if we don't want any type of constant movement, really sitting back in this laying position, feet on the floor, and then again, trying to place the whole back on the floor is going to really just, on its own, help relieve some of that pain, because the spine's just naturally going to lengthen. It's not going to have gravity pressing it down. We're just starting to feel the length, and you can just play right here. Or maybe you even want to have a bit of like a restorative type of a bridge, so we can place something under the hips, slower than I did, but just to kind of lift the hips up a bit and just hanging out here. Or supporting yourselves, pressing to the feet just a little bit to lift the hips up, and then do some pelvic tucks, so the tailbone tucks under and then releases a little, and then it tucks under and release, and it tucks under and releases and tucks under. So just feeling the lengthening of the lower half of the spine. But same thing, pull the abdominals in. And when you've had enough, slowly come down, or lift the heels and slowly come down. Find that relief again. So if we've done all those other things before this, then our muscles are probably kind of warm in order to find a reclined pigeon. So where's my strap? So a strap, a kitchen towel, a hand towel, a husband's tie, a karate belt, or anything will help to find where we want to be. So that long spine again, the feet are planted, and then we take one foot and we cross that foot. The ankle is going to go right over the thigh, and then we reach through the little window between the thighs, and we can take our belt or whatever it is. We can lift up the foot and try to reach it underneath, but we're not grabbing on the shin. we're grabbing underneath, and then we can relax back. Now flex this top foot, like pull the toes towards the shin, and then starting to pull that thigh in. And it's gonna feel pretty intense on that outer hip. But again, relieving some of the hip tightness is gonna help to relieve some of the back pain. Staying here as long as we like. Breathing in these things, because this does feel intense in the hip. So yeah, we're gonna breathe, right? We're not gonna stop breathing, but having a nice deep inhale through the nose, and then exhale, pull a little closer. So each exhale, so when we inhale, we're kind of creating space. And then exhale, we can go deeper into that space. And then release, switch sides. So making sure we always do both sides to even. Cross the ankle over the thigh. Foot is flexed to protect the knee and the low back. And then let the knee open. So we're relaxing, we can pull the knee in and then grab that mat or strap. Maybe we need to come up to grab it. But again, we're grabbing through the inside, between the two thighs and not around both. And then relaxing back down. Nice deep inhale. Exhale, pull it in a little bit. Oh, maybe one side's way gnarlier than the other, and that's okay. But breath, inhale. Exhale, closer. Inhale. Exhale. Just staying as long as you'd like. Releasing when we're done. So a gentle little twist kind of action is our feet are going to be wide, mat distance. The whole back is planted, and we just bring the hands down for support. Slowly let the knees windshield wiper just a little side to side. A little back to center, over to the other side. Again, as long as there is zero pain. So for like, this kind of feels good, but it kind of hurts. Don't do it. Not if we are doing this practice just for back pain. So just a little bit or none. Just a slow action, windshield wiper. Keeping both shoulder blades down. And then ending with the feet can stay planted. Trying not to put anything under the head because that's bringing us back into the rounding. So keeping that long spine. So maybe pressing to the feet, adjusting the hips. And then lengthening the spine tall. Staying here. Or placing something under the hips to elevate the hips. So the hips can be elevated and the feet can stay planted. Or if it feels good, you can even, sorry I don't have my block. You can even release the feet, but making sure there's no pain in the low back. Or if you have a yoga wheel, or a basketball sometimes is a really great thing too. You can even kind of make sure that we're not arching too much in the low back. Tuck that tailbone underneath and just kind of sitting back to open up. My final relaxation music is high-pitched kid voices. But yes, hopefully some of those things help.